Hey hon, I'm Chloe and this is the Helix or Caramel Swirl tutorial. My mission is to share my passion for pole dancing and make pole dancing easy to learn and accessible. This is the 26th video of the intermediate pole trick tutorial series. In order to maximize your training out of all the videos, I highly recommend you to start from the very first video of this playlist, as the tricks will be a progression of the video before. The Helix or the Caramel Swirl is one of my favorite pretty spin pole tricks. The prerequisite of this move is to be able to do a straddle invert and also an outside leg hang. So make sure you watch those tutorials before. This video is mirrored for your ease of learning. I'll have a red wristband on my right limbs to indicate the right side of my body if you do get confused of the directions. This trick tutorial is created for you for information and educational purposes only, and for you to enjoy learning pole dancing from the comfort of your own home. Please participate at your own risk and don't work beyond your capability, and seek help or spotting when necessary. For any health concerns, please make sure you seek professional medical advice. Please warm up before you try this trick. I have a warm-up depending on your level under each playlist so that you can warm up before you try the tricks. If you're looking to further your pole journey and combining tricks and dance together, then consider subscribing to my online learning platform, Pole Art Vault, where you learn tricks and dance together and learn an entire routine with combos and dance together. You can find the link in the description below for further information. Alrighty, without further ado, let's get into our Helix or Caramel Swirl tutorial. Alrighty, now let's get into our conditioning. Now, just to preface this, I won't be going through any conditioning necessary for inverts, leg hangs. So if you need to watch those, please make sure you watch the relevant videos. So for today, since with our Helix and Caramel Swirl, we want to get as nice as an extension in that back leg when you're grabbing it. So we're going to try working on those active and passive stretches. So I am going to come on to the right side of the pole so that you can see what's going on. We're going to try both legs. Now, first contact for our Helix or the Caramel Swirl is being able to grab that back leg. So we're just gonna start off by squeezing the back leg. So start off with whichever leg you want to. You're gonna bend the leg, and I'm bending my right leg. Now, a few key pointers here is when you are bending it, try not to bend your knee forward. I want you to make sure that your knees are close together and you're squeezing your adductors, squeezing your inner thighs together. Then from there, you're gonna thrust your hip, engage your core, then you're gonna kick that back leg up. Now, a common mistake here is the disengagement of the core while you lift the leg and squeeze. So just make sure that, again, you're gonna start off by tucking and engaging your lower abdominal area. So you're extending your hips forward. I'm gonna engage the core, bring my knees in, keep that core engaged, then I'm gonna kick the leg back. Now, if you're feeling that crampy sensation through your hamstring, you're definitely doing that right. Try leaning forward and just stretch out your hammies for a second. I'm gonna try on the other side. So you're gonna squeeze your legs in, lift your left leg up this time, tuck that tailbone in, engage the core, and see if you can lift and pulse. Whoo! All right, shake it off. Nice, well done. So that will fire up your hamstring in no time, which is great. Now, if you need to stretch out your hammies, start leaning forward and you can just get that nice stretch through your hamstring. Key point here is to not hunch your back. I want you to think about pulling your hip into your thigh. So you're gonna shine your hip backwards, lean forwards, and think about hip to thigh. Nice, well done. Beautiful, alrighty. Now, let's start working on our arms. Now with the Helix, you actually need a fair bit of chest extension and shoulder extension, so let's work on those. Now, we're gonna face away from the pole and making sure that your inside shoulder or whichever arm shoulder is aligned to the center line. So I'm actually using my tile as a guide because I can see where the straight line is. So I'm gonna line up my left leg to the line and I'm gonna open my chest backwards. Now, once you extend your left arm, your arm should be shoulder height and the pole should be sitting just around your wrist or your forearm. Now, you're gonna face forward and you should start to already feel a nice shoulder opening and your pec stretching here. Now, rather than just relaxing here, I want you to actively press your forearm or your wrist into the pole as you open your chest away from it. So I am twisting towards my right and I'm pressing my left arm into the pole. Nice, and then shake it off. Well done. Let's try it on the other side. So I'm gonna align my right foot to the center line. I'm gonna bring my right hand back. I'm gonna attach my forearm or the wrist onto the pole. Start twisting away from the pole as you actively press your arm into the pole. So press and twist away. Good. Well done. So hopefully you're starting to feel your chest open up as well. Feel free to do another 2, 3 on each side so that you can really feel that chest opening and also your shoulder as well. Now we're gonna move on into a last exercise, which is grabbing the back leg and extending into it. Now we're gonna walk through 2 variations of it. So firstly, you're gonna grab the pole with your right hand and you're gonna lift the same leg up. Now, when you're lifting the right leg, you're going to start turning your knee out. So you're gonna externally rotate that knee. Then you're gonna start kicking your toe back towards your hand. Now, I want you to actively squeeze the leg so that you can grab it. So try not to kick and grab. Try controlling as much as you can. So you're gonna squeeze your legs in, grab the back leg. Now, when you are grabbing your foot, think about your palm facing away from you and touching your butt. And that's the easiest way to grab your foot. So when you're standing upright, your thumb should be facing up towards the ceiling. Now from here, you're gonna turn your knee slightly out and see if you can kick into your hand. So you think about kicking your leg into your hand. Now in this moment, I'm not leaning forward nor leaning backwards. I'm trying to, again, keep the posture upright. I'm tucking my tailbone in, engaging through the core. Then all I'm doing is kicking my foot into my hand. So in terms of the kicking motion, think about kicking slightly away, but downwards. Now, as soon as you do that, you should start to feel your quads engage, your quad stretch, your hip stretch. You're definitely doing that right. I'm gonna face forward again so that you can see. I'm gonna squeeze a hamstring, grab that back foot. Now you're gonna turn the knee slightly out, tuck your tailbone in, and kick away. So I'm kicking away. Well done. Let's try it on the other side. So I'm gonna grab the pole with my left hand, lifting the left leg backwards. I'm gonna grab the foot. Tuck the tailbone in, engage through the core, turn your knee slightly out, and start kicking into your hand. Good, well done. All right, shake it off. Now, from here, we are going to add an additional layer to this. This time, once you grab your foot, you're gonna kick into your hand and see if you can start leaning forward. And then coming back up. So as soon as you lean forward, you should start to feel your hamstring, your front hamstring stretch. And then remember, you're still trying to kick away from you. So I'm trying to kick away, kick, 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 lean forward, and then back. And then you can release your foot. Good. So remember, you should still feel that tight engagement as you kick into your hand. You're gonna lean forward, come back up, keep that engagement, then slowly step down and controlled. Let's try that again together. So I'm gonna grab the pole with my right hand, lifting my right leg up. I'm gonna lift the leg, grab the foot. Now I'm gonna start kicking into the hand, engage through the core. I'm gonna start leaning forward, slide your hand on the pole so that you can lean even further down. Kick nice and high. Good, from here you're gonna come back up, tuck, then come down. Perfect, well done. Let's try it on the other side. So I'm gonna grab the pole with my left hand this time. I'm gonna lift the leg, squeeze your hamstring, grab that back leg. Turn your knee slightly out, then start kicking into your hand. Kick. Good, we're gonna start leaning forward. Slide the hand that's on the pole and keep kicking into your hand. Beautiful, kick up. And control it down. Well done. So there's all your conditioning exercises done. Alrighty, now let's get into our Helix or caramel swirl. Now we'll have two different entries today, from an outside leg hang and also from an aerial front hook or aerial back hook. If you haven't watched those tutorials before, remember that these are their prerequisites, so make sure you watch that before you try this one. So this is what a Helix or caramel swirl looks like. Alrighty, so let's break down our Helix or the caramel swirl. Now, first things first, I'll show you how to do it from an outside leg hang. Now, personally, I find the outside leg hang entry a little bit harder because you essentially have to crunch up, and the aerial front hook and backward entry is a little bit easier. So we're gonna try the harder one first, and then we're gonna regress into the hook variation. So once you come into your invert or straddle V, you're hooking your outside knee onto the pole into a leg hang. Now, I wouldn't say you're coming into a full leg hang, you are actually coming into an outside knee hook. So just make sure that you come into a knee hook rather than taking both of your hands off into a full outside leg hang. So once you hook your outside knee onto the pole, your outside hand is going to reach above, you're crunching up. Then your inside hand is going behind the knee and grabbing the pole above the knee. From there, you're going to reach your outside hand that was on the pole above, grabbing the opposite leg, so the free leg, grabbing it. Then you're going to start kicking into your hand, lean fully backwards, and then you have it, you are in your Helix. Now, when you are grabbing your back foot, remember that your thumb, so your palm facing away from you, and your thumb should be facing towards your head. Now, if you do want to try the other variation where you grab your foot with your thumb facing down, you can totally do that as well. I find it easier to extend with my thumb facing towards my head. So try exploring with both of them. You can grab it either or, and they still both work. So we're coming into our invert, spinning forwards. Outside knee hook. Outside hand comes above. You're gonna reach your inside hand behind the knee, grab the pole above the knee. Get your stomach onto the pole so that you can grab your back foot, squeeze your knee as close to you as possible so that you come into a big ball. Then start leaning backwards as you kick into your hand, and your shelf should be on the pole. Kick into your hand to get all that extension, and there you have it. There's your Helix or caramel swirl. To come out, release that leg. Pull up again, outside hand comes above, and you can either come back into a leg hang, or you can even Jamila out. So once you come into your bottom hand Viva, outside hand goes in between the cookie, into your Jamila, then stepping out. Well done. So there is your outside legging entry, and we did spinning forwards into a Helix and caramel swirl. Now, this is probably a good time to segue about spinning forward and backwards. So on the other side that we just did, we spun forward into our invert, but due to the nature of inverting, when you flip upside down, even if you're spinning forward with your entry, you're going to end up spinning backwards when you invert. So step in as you spin forward, and then when you invert, you are going to be spinning backwards. Now, because of that, on this side, we are going to try our backwards entry so that we end up spinning forward. So this time, instead of hooking our left knee onto the pole, we're going to hook our right knee onto the pole. We're coming into a back hook, aerial back hook. Then you're going to get your hand underneath, do the rest of it, as we normally would. So we're coming into a aerial back hook. All right, now once you come into your back hook, you're going to slide both of your hands down all the way. Then once you get your pole right into your hip, that's when you're going to reach your left hand underneath or above the knee. Start pulling that back leg. Then you're going to extend. To come out, take that hand off, reach your hand above, both hands above. Then you can step out nicely. Well done. So there you have it. We've done both of our entries. So from your outside leg hang and also from a hook position. So remember, try working on both front hook and back hook so that you can have a taste of both. Maybe you might like the aesthetic of spinning forward or backwards. So that's another one to explore. Well done. Alrighty, now let's go through some tips and common mistakes. Now our first common mistake is the leg hook. Now commonly, if you do not hook your leg properly, or if you do not know how to do a leg hang properly, then it's going to be very hard for you to hook the leg and keep that leg hooked. You need a very solid leg hang or leg hook for this one. So please make sure that you've watched a tutorial of how to do an outside leg hang or even the aerial front or back hook before you start this one. Now, key pointers here is when you're hooking your knee, hooking it really firm and really using those hamstrings to squeeze the pole as much as you can. Now, the second point here is the positioning of your hands. Now, if your hands are way too high, it is going to be very hard for you to drop down into your helix. So let's say, for example, if my hands are really high, you can see that this is my max. I can't drop any lower. So ensuring that once you slide down, your hands are nice and close to your knee. So that first contact, you can reach your inside hand under or above the knee, then sliding that top hand down. So just make sure that you have ample grip on your hands, obviously, as always, and your leg grip as well. So your point of contact for the helix is obviously both of your hands initially. So grip up your hands. Now, once you get into the helix, you will need your knee grip, your thigh grip, and also your shelf grip. So just make sure that you've gripped up your obliques, you've gripped up your thighs because you are contacting the pole when you get here. So you need your thigh grip, top of the thigh grip. Now your other grip point, which a lot of people actually completely miss, is the forearm grip. So when you get into your helix initially, because you're reaching your hand underneath, you can see that the forearm is attaching to the pole. So just remember to utilize that forearm grip as much as you can initially when you're getting into it. And you can always grip up your forearm as well. That will help you a lot with stabilizing yourself when you're getting into the move, rather than just relying on your hand grip. Now, remember that with your grip aids, just get something that's moisturizing if you have really dry skin. And if you have sweaty skin, then make sure you get something a little bit more drying so that you have enough grip on your body. Now, let's talk about grabbing that back leg. Now, if you tried the helix just then and you were like, where is my leg? Just remember there's a few different ways of doing this. And this is gonna depend on your anatomy and what makes you feel more comfortable when you're grabbing that leg. Now, if you tend to turn your knee out when you're in a regular position, you might have more of an external rotation of your hip, meaning it'll probably be easier for you to turn your knee out and grab that back leg. Now that's the case for me as well. Now, if you are the opposite way and maybe your adductors are a little bit stronger, so you tend to kind of turn your toe in or turn your knee in, it might be easier if you keep your knees together and grab that back leg. So just try exploring with what works best for you in order to bring that toe as close to your hand as possible. Now, the other key point here is if you are struggling to grab your back leg, it might be because when you're kicking too far away from you. So remember, think about bringing your heel all the way towards your booty and you're bringing it really close to the back of your thigh. So the closer you get your toe to the back of your thigh, the easier it is to grab your back leg. If you're here, I'll be like, it's hard. Bring that leg all the way towards your back of your thigh, then reach. And that way it'll be much, much easier for you. Now, there's a few things you can adjust depending on your flexibility and what sort of flexibility do you have or what's best for you, for your body. Now, if you have a really good back bend, then I would highly recommend you to grab a little bit closer towards your knee. So maybe grab your ankle if you can, grab the bridge of your foot. Now, if you have more of a rotation through your chest, it would probably be more beneficial to grab your toe or a little bit further up your foot. Now, if you are a heel gal, you can totally wear your heels, and it is actually easier to grab your heel rather than grabbing your foot because you have that sort of extra few heights almost, or it's almost like you've got long legs and easier for you to grab those long legs. So feel free to do that if you do want to wear your heels, and I think it just accentuates and elongates your legs as well, so very nice. Now the next point is making sure that your torso is still somewhat upright when you're grabbing your back leg. Now, commonly, if you try to drop your head too early, then what happens when you're trying to grab your leg is you're going to struggle to reach that back leg. So just a reminder that when you are getting into position, keep your torso really close. So I'm bringing my knee towards my chest, and then I'm grabbing my back leg. And that way, the more you are in a ball when you're in that position, the easier it is to grab your back foot. So just make sure that you're in a really, really small ball before you drop fully down into the helix. Now, the last key point I have is stylizing the movement. Now, the best part about the helix or the caramel swirl is that if you've got a great back extension or chest extension, you can make that look very, very bendy. Now, if you are still on your flexibility journey, don't worry too much. Remember that even working on your maximum flexibility while you do the move is a flexibility practice or training as well. So if you're sort of not as inclined to do flexibility work, and if you like doing tricks that are looking a little bit more bendier, try coming into your full range of motion, and it actually helps you do flexibility training. Now, I am not saying to neglect your flexibility training though, because it is very important, especially when you get to an intermediate advanced level. A lot of the moves, or maybe some of the moves that you want to achieve, will be a little bit more flex-based. So if that is your point of interest, please make sure you start working on it now. The earlier you work on, the better it is. And I'll give you some tips at the very end of this video, so just stay tuned. Now, going back into the full extension, remember, when you grab your back leg, you are trying to kick your leg or you kick your foot into your hand. So you can see that there's a difference between not just pulling, but kicking into the hand and pulling at the same time. So I'm going to just think about pulling my leg, and then you can see that like pulling doesn't do much. But when I think about lifting my knee up into the ceiling, kick into the hand, then pull, you can see how much of that extension I can get. So remember, you lift the knee far away from as possible. I'm gonna face this way. Knee away, kick into the hand, then lift using your hand. So remember, all the mechanic has to work together in order to get that full extension. And obviously coupled with your flexibility training. You need your hip extension, your quad, your hamstring strength, and opening the chest and the shoulders. So just make sure you work on a little bit of twisty motions and also leg flexibility and back as well. Now the other key component of this is looking down to the floor. Now, if you keep your head still, it looks still pretty, but once you look down and open your chest down to the floor, that's when you can create even more of this helix or caramel swirl. So I'll show you the difference. So this is my head just still, facing forward. But if I open my chest, look down to the floor, you can see that it creates more of this swirly position. So, make sure you work on stylizing your move, because when you get to an intermediate level, you're probably starting to think like, okay, how do I make this move but even better? And the execution of the move dictates a lot about the move and how it looks like. And execution and technique is everything. So just make sure you work on that. Well done. So that's all your tips and common mistakes. Now, let's just go through some tips in terms of flexibility, since we are talking about our helix and caramel swirl. Now, flexibility is a big part of pole dancing, and when you were a beginner pole dancer, or maybe even before you started, you might have thought, oh, I need to be flexible in order to do the pole moves. And that is not the case at all. However, like anything you do, like the pole tricks that you've been training so far, it is the same thing where flexibility, you need to consistently do it while you do the pole tricks. So let's say, for example, in the move today, I wasn't just chilling in the move, I was actually extending, I'm really twisting, I'm really working on fully going to the full range of motion. Now, again, this is flexibility training, and that is great, but it is also very important to supplement your pole training by working on flexibility or contortion. Now, the benefits of this is you actually start to learn body awareness, because you understand what to squeeze, where you're feeling what, and it also helps you just understand pole moves better as well. Now, the other part of it is injury prevention, because it helps you really stabilize your muscles depending on the flexibility work you do. And finally, just looks really pretty. The move just looks so much prettier when you are flexible, and it helps you get into moves that maybe you dreamt of, like a bird of paradise or an eagle, which we will cover further down the track in our advanced or maybe even elite pole trick tutorial series when that launches. So just remember that flexibility should be trained coincidingly with pole tricks. So rather than starting later, I would highly recommend you to start early as possible, because when you gain the strength, it is actually kind of hard to do both at the same time. So make sure you work on both. Now, make sure that if you are going to do a lot of flexibility training, if you want to do it intensively, once every 3 to 4 days. If you overtrain, it's going to be really hard for you to recover. So make sure that you take enough recovery, do your flexibility training, and keep working on your pole tricks as well. Thank you so much for joining me in the Helix or Caramel Swirl tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you in the very next tutorial. Bye! Let me double check my mic. I'm scared that... Is it on? It's on. It's on. Bit of a goofy mood today.